Almighty grant us a peaceful night and a perfect end. Amen. Our help is in the name of the Lord.
Maker of heaven and earth.
Gathered here tonight, I want to wish each and every one of you congratulations and Godspeed. And it's now my pleasure to introduce this evening's speaker, responding for the class of 2017. Teddy Kudelka entered St. Mark's in the first grade. Upbeat, determined, and thoughtful, Teddy literally brims over with positivity. A multi-sport athlete, co-chair of the Little Buddy Committee, member of Spanish Honor Society, Lion and Sword, Jefferson Book Award winner, and much, much more. He does it all and does it with genuine enthusiasm. There's no task too great or too small. When this marksman set his mind to something, the sky is the limit. Teddy's an accomplished scholar, determined athlete, and humble servant leader. He thinks of others before himself and relishes the achievements of his peers. His yearbook quote says it all when you think of this marksman. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Well, you never have to worry about effort for this young man. One of his teachers summed up Teddy by saying, he has a remarkable capacity to respond positively whenever challenged. Another said, Teddy has earned the respect of his teachers and his peers because he's one of the hardest working students in this class. Whether engaging in meaty discussions around the Harkness table, singing in his church choir, teaching reading to DISD students, or lifting the spirits of his soccer and lacrosse teammates. Teddy epitomizes the qualities we seek to instill in every marksman. It's my great honor to introduce a young man who has invested himself fully and contributed greatly to the betterment of this school. Please help me welcome Teddy Kudelka.
Thank you, Mr. Dini. Parents, faculty, and classmates, I am truly honored to be standing here tonight, representing the class of 2017 in this fabled candlelit ceremony, which my mom has even called her favorite of all the great St. Mark's traditions. I say I am honored, yet I am also very humbled. Humbled most of all by my audience of outstanding classmates and an indefatigably caring faculty. I hope indefatigable is still one of your favorite words, Mr. Brown. But I am humbled also by the insurmountable task of encapsulating all that this place has meant to me. Luckily, we have our class president, Shaylin, to hammer home a more coherent class message on Friday. But hopefully my reflections tonight will add a faint flicker to the class of 2017's legend being etched in St. Mark's lore. Foremost among our class's virtues are its independence and selfless nature, as judiciously noted by Ms. Poole and Mr. Millay at Marksman Ball on Saturday night. And it is this independence and selflessness that project the courage and honor of yet another chapter of Marksman. It is my longevity at St. Mark's and its magnitude of purpose in my life which make me incredibly excited to speak to you tonight. My time at St. Mark's did not start when I walked into Mrs. Wardlaw's class on that first day of first grade and sat down next to a then absolutely minuscule Parker Kirby in late August of 2005. My time here started back in the 90s, I'm not even sure that all of us were born. My oldest brother, Bobby, began first grade in 1999, and Danny came just 2 years later. Every day, I would wait for them in the lower school library with my mom, reading books and watching the clock. Because of this, I had the benefit of knowing almost every lower school teacher before I ever even walked in the door as a student. An advantage that rang true throughout my time at St. Mark's, and something I consider to be one of my greatest St. Mark's blessings. Alexander the Great said, "I am indebted to my parents for living, but to my teachers for living well." The faculty at St. Mark's shape us in so many more ways than we realize. All that they do for us is truly remarkable. If there is one thing I say tonight that is not cliche, it is that we cannot thank you, the faculty and staff of St. Mark's, enough for what you have meant to us in our lives. It is not just the scrupulous teaching for which you are renowned, but so much more. In some cases, it could be the endless amount of humor that comes from a math class with Mr. Millet or Mr. Martin, a little joke that just might get you through the grind of the day. Other times, it is Dr. Westrate. Actually, not other times. It is every single day that Dr. Westrate enthralls us in his lectures, standing at his lectern like the captain of a ship to steal a line from the ever well-spoken Andrew Lynn. Coach Phillips, your smile is infectious, and we are all better people when you are around. Gracias, Senor McFarland, por sus oftentimes deadly prohibitas, which certainly kept us on our toes. Mr. Brown, your dictatorial command of literature not only intimidated, but also rewarded us with some English excellence of our own. To our coaches, the mentors that molded us outside of the classroom, thank you for leading us into battle against our heated rivals. Whether we were watching or playing, victories over Greenhill, ESD, and Cistercian in all sports will forever be etched in our memories. There are so many exceptional faculty members at St. Mark's, I could spend this entire speech talking about them. And on top of all of this, there hasn't been a single semi-legitimate club that could not find faculty sponsorship on this campus. Rob and Gray, did y'all ever join Miss Wood's handwriting club? Did you even know it existed? Lord knows you needed it. We may not remember every discussion from English or every formula from math or science. Well, maybe Patrick does. But the time we spent here at 10600 Preston Road, learning and growing as not only academic individuals, but as true marksmen, was priceless. Jumping back to 2005, it brings me great warmth to reflect on those times in lower school when the class of 2017 began our journey. From mealworms with Miss Mack to the sandbox wars of third grade, to sitting on the wall and signing the book. If I'm not mistaken, James Hancock had perfected his Hancock with the amount of times he signed the book. Just reminisce with me for a moment and remember the days of first and second grade, when we walked into school with just that one iconic, shiny, slim, navy blue folder with a gold St. Mark's crest on it. And in that shiny navy blue folder, we had everything we needed for the day. I vividly remember one day when I forgot my backpack and that shiny navy blue folder with its golden crest kept within it. I cried my eyes out as if I had lost the most precious thing on earth before Miss Owens could calm me down. Wow, those were stressful times. When I think of middle school, one vivid image comes to mind. Ninth period study hall with a bunch of unruly, end-of-the-day middle school students. It was one of the most rowdy study halls on record. There had to have been a scheduling error because I think there were 100 kids in that study hall. Were those the days before Mr. Malakar let machine learning algorithms take over that task? There were nowhere near enough chairs. Bodies and backpacks were strewn across the floor, and Graduate Hall essentially turned into a war zone, with paper airplanes and hornets whizzing through the air. The proctor did her very best to keep control in a hopeless situation. God bless her soul. It was all fun and games until someone started to bleed. Duct tape and staples, really, Clark and Eli? Luckily, most of us made it across the stage to shake Mr. Foxworth's hand. As most classes do, we grew up a little bit in high school. The PACO certainly brought us together as a class. The age-old tradition of surviving in the wilderness with your brothers is a tradition unlike any other. Just 4 years ago, we were getting our first flag errors from Mr. Smith and knocking out 2-column proofs like crazy. Man, those were brutal. Truly, high school went by in a flash. All of the tests and papers, all of the time spent at practices, games, and tournaments, it's all a blur. But something I do know is that in our class, we have jokesters and intellectuals. We have talented artists and exceptional mathematicians. We have a scholar club and state champions. Congratulations on 4 in a row water polo. And Quiz Bowl, y'all are wicked smart. I don't know how you do it. We have amazing musicians and incredible engineers. We have athletes and bookworms. We even have a national student poet laureate. St. Mark's has had many things, but I don't think we've ever had one of those. All of these individuals make up the family that is the class of 2017. In all that we do and all that we are, the class of 2017 supports each other like a family. We are proud of the work that each of us does and are honored to call it our own. The selfless support we show to every classmate in every endeavor is the very essence of what being a marksman is all about. I think that at St. Mark's, it is sometimes easy as individuals to get caught up in the daily grind of the homework, the tests and essays, the performances and athletic events, and the rest. As Coach Lee has said, you have to love the grind. Coach Lee is an incredibly astute coach, and nearly all St. Mark's classes and teams do indeed learn to love the grind. It is one of the things that makes us great. Moreover, that grind that we must all endure is also why our classes are all so close. There may not be another place like St. Mark's that pushes you so hard and in so many different ways, while also fostering such brotherhood. I might have just crumbled without my classmates by my side. It's because I knew that whatever pressure I felt, or whatever work I had in front of me, there was always someone who had more. That's a more comforting feeling than you might think, trust me. My dad used to love a saying, pressure makes diamonds or it bursts pipes. St. Mark's personifies this saying. Many a St. Mark's alum has said that if you can make it across that stage in that iconic white jacket tux, that you have been blessed with the firmest of foundations and most solid of networks on which to build your life. What I have found especially great about my class this year is that we haven't always asked ourselves the question, what's in it for me? As Mr. Millay and Ms. Poole noted in speeches of their own, our class's breakfast with the cafeteria staff in February and lunch with security personnel and staff in March are new ways of giving back to the campus. And let's be honest, our senior prank wasn't much of a prank at all, but the fun we provided that day to the rest of the school was all that our class needed in order to consider that day an outstanding success. My life's experiences have given me an especially significant appreciation for this virtue of giving back to the St. Mark's community. Right before 4th grade, I was confronted by the death of my father, the cornerstone of my life. I was confused, asking questions such as, why me? Why him? Why now? I was lost in a sea of pain and sadness as people streamed through my house, sharing their condolences and offering their support. It was a time when I wish I had been more thankful for that support those people were giving me, but I simply could not fathom what I was living through. I had lost my dad, who to me, his youngest son, was infallible. Over the next few weeks before school, the endless amount of support built our family back up and helped us back onto our feet. So much of that love came from this St. Mark's community, the community that is known so well for its grinding, winning, and achieving. I can attest that it is also known for loving. Even with all of this love and support from the St. Mark's community, my mother is a true bedrock in her own right. She has been the backbone of our family and raised 3 boys alone through adulthood. My mom not only gave me some of that same love, but also taught me to give back. And I respect her more than anyone for her bravery and ability to overcome. The class of 2017, my class, has had many achievements, but it is the ways that we give back and love one another that I hope the generations of marksmen we leave in our wake will most aspire to surpass. We will always come home to the place that shaped us, blessed to be a part of something far better than we could have ever imagined. I'm so incredibly thankful that I have had the opportunity to attend St. Mark's. It is a place unmatched in its excellence. The brotherhood formed among classmates at St. Mark's is something so special that others simply don't understand. To the class of 2017, I have an undying love for all of you. I cannot wait to belt out the alma mater with you on Friday night.
It is now my pleasure to introduce this evening's speaker, Warren Foxworth. Mr. Foxworth entered St. Mark's as a fifth grader in 1958 and would go on to become a multi-sport letterman, member of the marksman staff, cheerleader, honor roll graduate of the class of 1966. He received his undergraduate degree from Denison University and a master's degree in education from Boston University in 1973, before returning to St. Mark's to join the faculty in 1980. A man of many talents, Mr. Foxworth truly has done it all. From English teacher and marksman yearbook sponsor to department chair, coach, advisor, and so much more, he's contributed in every way imaginable. He was called upon to serve as Director of Development just as the Goals for St. Mark's initiative was first being launched. And after helping the school address important strategic initiatives, Mr. Foxworth turned his attention back to the classroom and the boys. He served as assistant head of middle school and ultimately middle school head, a role that he has filled with distinction for the past 23 years. In addition, Mr. Foxworth has continued to teach, advise, mentor, and lead with tremendous grace, professionalism, and compassion. Warren Foxworth truly is the heartbeat of the middle school. A man of great integrity and devotion, St. Mark's would be a far different place without the service of this marksman. And as we all know, he will retire at the end of this school year to be closer to family. We will miss his presence, but remain eternally grateful for his many gifts to our school. Please help me welcome tonight's speaker, Mr. Warren Foxworth.
Mr. Deeney, distinguished faculty, parents and guests, and the class of 2017, I thank you for the honor and the pressure you have bestowed on me to speak tonight. If you have been at St. Mark's a while, you have heard me speak up here as the interim middle school chaplain a few years ago and an occasional chapel speaker. So I know why I was invited for tonight. Because I speak in very simple terms, and I never speak for very long. I intend to honor both of those traditions once again. It is a bit intimidating to speak in front of such a strong class, not to mention the entire faculty and the cadre of parents and others crowding into this space. I look around and I see Miss Gavin over here. This is her 39th St. Mark's Baccalaureate speech to hear. Ms. Johnson next to her, this is her 43rd. Ms. Livengood is listening to her 45th. And the great granddaddy of us all, Mr. Jordan, is attending his 49th Baccalaureate. Yes, that's correct, 49. Next year will be his 50th year of teaching at St. Mark's and his 50th Baccalaureate. For me, this is only my 38th. I have heard 37 of them as a teacher, but my first baccalaureate was when I was a senior in May of 1966. I can't even remember where it was held, in chapel or off campus. After all, our graduation that year was at McFarland Auditorium at SMU. But we did hold a baccalaureate. And what was that first baccalaureate talk about? And who gave it? I have no idea. And in 2022, when the class of 2017 returns for your 5th reunion, much less your 50th reunion in 2067, think about that, you too will not remember who spoke at your baccalaureate or what he said. So, if that is true, why do we do this? Why do we congregate on the Tuesday before your commencement, at which time you will hear even more speeches? Why all this hoopla? I'll give you my reasons, in no particular order, why I think we have this service and why it is important. First, there are your parents. They have sacrificed countless treasures, from monetary tuition to emotional worry and angst and time and energy, in order to support you and allow you to reach this point. By being in this chapel, they are showing how proud they are of how far you have come. And then there are your siblings, your grandparents, other relatives and friends who want to demonstrate their love for you and recognize your accomplishments both as individuals and collectively as a class. They want to congratulate you on the completion of your St. Mark's careers. And you know that is no easy task. Many of you may find college a lot easier than St. Mark's. So earning a diploma from here is something to be very proud of. And then there are the faculty members who are sitting across from you and up here. They too want to show their appreciation, and probably in some cases their amazement, that you have completed the student part of your St. Mark's journey. They have poked you and prodded you and challenged you and assisted you along the path to manhood that we so nobly espouse. And you have responded appropriately and fulfilled the expectations that they have set before you. So these teachers and coaches of yours, they want to show how much they respect and appreciate who you have become. And then there are the guys next to you, behind you, in front of you, all around you. You have become not just individual marksmen, but a cohesive group. A few weekends ago, we had our alumni weekend celebration, and I attended several reunions, including the classes of 1997 and 2007. There's just something special about a graduating class ending in 7. It was wonderful to see them hugging each other and delighting in each other's company, although many of them had not seen their classmates for years. But both of those classes were unified classes and had bonded while at St. Mark's, and that bond still exists 10 years later and 20 years later, as it will 50 years later. Sitting here together as the class of 2017 reinforces your bond as individuals who, together, create an entity as a group that is more powerful than any one of you. So why are we in this chapel for this baccalaureate? Why aren't we all sitting in Hicks Gym, as we will be for upper school final assembly later this week? Or why aren't we out on the green commencement terrace, where we will be this Friday night? Well, upper school final assembly is in Hicks Gym because that is big enough to hold the entire upper school, plus faculty and guests. That assembly is about grades 9 through 12, not just you. And while commencement this Friday will be a celebration that is similar to this, it is truly your last act before joining the distinguished company of alumni, such as Steve Miller, Tommy Lee Jones, Robert Hoffman, Robert Decker, Carl Sewell, Alan Stern, Luke Wilson, Sam Acho, and Ty Montgomery, and this Friday's commencement speaker, Ken Hirsch, not to mention such luminaries on campus now as Alex Eschelbrenner, Tim Mank, Dan Northcutt, Ken Owens, and Jim Bob Womack. And after commencement, the celebration tends to be a bit more frivolous, with air horns and cigars and all-night party, loud music that I've never heard before. But here in this chapel, there is a solemnity to the singing and celebrating and congratulating. There is a seriousness of purpose in recognizing the path to manhood that each of you has trod and on which path you are still walking. There is a feeling that a more powerful force is watching over you, over all of us, as we live our lives of productivity and service to our fellow man. So here we are, or there you are, dressed to the nines in a solemn setting, counting the hours until the class of 2017 truly is graduated, and you have earned the distinction of being alumni of St. Mark's School of Texas. Keep in touch with each other as well as you can, though you may be separated by many miles and great distances. Share your joys with each other as well as your sorrows, because one day you will call yourselves the great class of 2017. Come back to 10,600 Preston Road anytime you can, especially when the Alumni Office provides special activities for your reunions every 5 years. That is when you will try to recognize and remember the name of the guy who now has a beard, or has gained 20 pounds, or had his hair turn gray if he still has any hair left at all. That is when you will celebrate weddings and births and jobs and successes. That is when you will say things like, do you remember when Mr. Millett did such and such? Well, actually, you guys will say, do you remember when Joe did such and such? And do you remember that last game? How about that Quiz Bowl national championship? Weren't the plays great? How about that trip to Mexico over spring break? And wasn't it great to be a marksman in 2017? Appreciate this evening. It is not just about you, but it is about those who have helped you get to this place and this night. Now they are ready for you to go out into the world and make a difference. Thank you.